Well, happy Tuesday everyone. The time in the game is about 7:30 on a Tuesday morning and we are just backing up to a trailer. Hopefully we'll get this first go. Let's go ahead and drop the ride height. And it looks lining up enough. Let's see. Oh, maybe. Okay, good enough. Alright, so parking brake on. Let's get the ride height back to where it should be. Gonna go ahead and turn off the engine. In fact, let's turn off the four-way flash. Let's turn off the engine. Right, let's jump out here and see if we can connect everything up. Right, well, I guess first things first. Let's go and do that. Okay, let's have a quick look down here, make sure everything looks okay. There's a chrome hubcap here, a little bit close and personal look there. Yeah, okay. This fifth wheel connected, yep. Let's scroll to the back, zip to the back of the wagon. So why am I being careful tonight? Well, this morning I suppose. It feels like a so night. Well, I don't know. I've got a bad feeling about this trip. It's been raining for days. And was that thunder? It's been raining for days. It's finally not raining, and I really just want to make sure that I have a fairly smooth trip. Let's take a quick look at the truck today. So this is a Kenworth K100E. I'll put a link to the mod below. It's a free mod. It's available on the Steam Workshop, and we are running today a Caterpillar 3406A. It's the 325 version. So it's 325 rated horsepower and 1,015 foot-pounds of torque. So in his day, in the late 70s, this was a respectable engine. In fact, it was a bit more than respectable. It was a pretty chunky beast. In the steel production engine pack, the 3406A goes up to 360 horsepower and 1080 foot-pounds of torque. We're not quite at that version today. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump in the cabin. Let's go ahead and start things up. So at the time of recording, I have just replaced the engine sound for this particular truck, and well, it's a little raucous, shall we say? So hopefully the sound level is right for the video. I guess we'll find out when it comes to after finishing the drive. Right. Quick detail on the trip. So 6.5 hours to Olympia. We're going to the Sell Goods there. I'm going to just bring this up on the map because, I mean, this is a pretty part of the world. Grand Coulee through Wenatchee through towards Seattle to Tacoma and Olympia. Now, I may not have you along for the ride for the whole trip because the second half is a little less interesting than the first half. I'm wondering whether I want to just divert here and head up along this road. I'm not sure. Well, either way, we probably need to get out of here. Let's go ahead and prep the truck. It's got the four ways on. We're using 10-speed today, the 456 final drive. It's a 10-speed overdrive. This particular gearbox is available again in the Steel Productions engine pack. A shameless plug, absolutely. So we'll get the windows down. I'm gonna try and be a bit more quiet in this trip, so you can hear the engine. It's an interesting engine, sound at least. Guess we'll let know we're on the way. Good to see that even though it's an older style engine, this engine is getting on a bit these days. It's coming on 50 years old. Well, 45. Still in service and still hauling and still being worked hard, as we're about to discover on some of these mountain roads. Check my temperatures are all up to what they should be. Okay, I'm a little cool. The oil's 180 Fahrenheit and the coolant's 164 showing, but they'll both warm up pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and turn off my four-ways. Right, I think we're just about ready to make a trip. So we're going to begin today's trip. We have a narrow bridge to go down and a tight left-hander, and then what I want to call a section of dual carriageway, because we're going up a fairly steep gradient. Now, can we see it from here? Not too well, but it's pretty much the direction that I'm looking. It's from memory, that's a 35 mile an hour speed limit. I mean, we may struggle to get to that speed. We may not. We've got 36,000 pounds behind me, plus the weight of the trailer. I'm going to go ahead and get the windows up. The C3406A, it's an older engine, so 15 litre, well, 14.6 litre. And compared to modern engines, this particular unit might seem a little lazy. I mean, it's only 1,015 foot-pounds of torque. We get more than that from, a 6.7 litre Cummins. A different level of tune. I wouldn't want to put the pickup 6.7 into a big rig. So it's fairly lazy compared to a modern engine, at least in terms of output, and it needs a few revs in semi-engine terms. So we're going to be seeing sort of 1500 to 2000 RPM quite a lot of the time today. I'm also aware that this truck is she's still in service, don't get me wrong, but she's I don't want to say she's getting old, because not everything that's this age is worn out, but she's seen the world, or certainly a lot of America. Now the transmission today, I'm using it in adaptive mode, I'm using it in high power mode. I'm feathering the throttle right now, but if I were to mash it, it's either going to probably won't change down, but it's going to take me up to the 2100 RPM governor. It looks like there's rain behind us. It's probably that storm that we've had for a few days. Let's see if we can get it to change up. So squeeze the accelerator pedal harder and then lift off. Oh, it's not going to do it. Okay, we are going up a fairly steep hill. Just watching my temperatures here. The best advice I've been given about the older girls, so to speak, is make sure they don't get too hot. But running at 200 is completely fine. I'm going to see if I can encourage it to there we go. I was going to say to shift up, but it's done it for me. We don't need to be seeing 2,000 revs, right, or 2,100 RPM. To be fair, it's built for it. Right, well, I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. Let's work it up this hill. Speed's dropped a little bit, 1300 revs in 7th gear. We're still pulling it though. How are we doing for fuel? Just over half a tank, okay.
Then continue straight.
Sneaky little light at the top of that hill there.
Go straight.
Alright. So oil's at 200 and water's at 192, neither of which are any cause for concern. The truck's not damaged. It may be 1% perhaps, which might be wear, but the truck isn't damaged. I just want to be careful of her. That's why it was very handy to make sure that everything was warmed up by the time we got to Tidbit today, or Tidbit, whatever it's called. So a few things that the 3406A is known for. One is most of the 3406As were a PC engine. PC is pre-combustion, and what that means is there's a pre-combustion chamber and that sits alongside or on top of the cylinders. It's quite a common thing in the older style indirect injection diesel engines. So a lot of your mechanically injected, or sometimes the semi-mechanically injected car engines, certainly in the UK, had a combustion chamber. This softened the ignition, so it made them a little quieter. And early direct injection diesels, where the fuel was squirted into the cylinder at high pressure, had a lot more noise, a lot more knocking sounds, because they didn't have this pre-combustion chamber. Now, the very last run of 3406As are a direct injection engine. In theory, it's a more efficient way of burning fuel. You don't have to sort of transfer the combustion from a PC chamber to a main cylinder. But in practice, none of the 3406As are exactly known for efficiency. In typical use, in the game, I've modeled these engines to be as close as feels reasonable given what I read about them, which is typically 4 to 5 to 5.5 to the gallon, and you don't seem to expect to get much more than that. Now, you can, very light cargo, driven very gently, but most people don't drive a big rig with a light cargo and drive it particularly gently. So in typical or recent trips, not with a 10-speed, sometimes with an 18-speed, I might be getting 4.5 to 5 to the gallon, but that's with a similar level of gearing and more gears, and not always a heavy cargo. And it's gone up to 60, so I'm going to squeeze a bit more pressure on the pedal. In fact, I'm now at full power, so we're not exactly accelerating quickly, let's just say. But you know, this old girl, she needs a bit of time to get up to speed. And not all of the time do you have to get wherever you're going in a big hurry. I have a deadline today, but hey, if I'm late, I'm late. Plus, I'm at full power, so I can't climb this hill any quicker. Reckons I'll get there at 3, which gives me loads of time, so I really can sort of ease off and just enjoy the scenery and enjoy the drive. Now my lights are on, so lights on for safety. I'll turn those off when I'm able to. Actually, I might keep them on. Yeah, we're coming up to that mountain pass. Came down this way on the weekend actually, and took my reset for a couple of days and just hung out in the town and looked at the scenery. And it was raining Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday as well. Monday it started to brighten up a little bit, but yeah, the weather was not exactly great for walking around and enjoying it. Make the drive down here or up here a little hazardous in parts. But looking at it now, well, mostly blue skies. Okay, looking at it in my mirror, not blue skies, but hey, bluish, not grey, not as grey. Well, I'm possibly going around this corner a little too quickly. Yeah, I'm going to lift off here. See, everything's cooled off, just working on the flat. So 195 oil and 187 water temperature. And I do have a coolant gauge. You can see it bottom left of the dashboard, the middle one, and I think the one next to it is the oil temperature, but I can't actually read that. My steering wheel's in the way. So yeah, I've got enough gauges to be able to tell what's going on, so I guess I'll advance my trip computer to show me economy. 4.4, and that is that's on this tank. Let's actually just turn my cruise on, I think. So that's, I mean, that's what you expect from this particular engine and this gearbox combination. Yes, an 18 speed you can squeeze slightly better mileage. You can also better optimize the engine revs depending on what you're doing. So you've got those extra, lots of extra gears. But there's a lot more shifting. Right, whilst we're using cruise, I'm going to take another sip of water. Okay, let's come off my cruise control right now. A bit of engine brake, I think. Left-hand turn coming up. Another gas station. Or diesel station. We're in a rondo. So we'll come off the engine brake now. Got a stop sign, so... And it's not a rolling stop sign. I will be stopping at this stop sign.
Turn left.
It's not like I've got great visibility. No, not really. Well, that's okay. We'll do the classic inch forward or foot forward. Take a bit of a better look. And seeing as I stopped, I'm okay to move off if there's nothing coming. Wow, there's really not great visibility here. Okay, all right, that's fine. So give it a bit of a power, bit of a boot moving off. There we go. See how it whips sort of back down to first. Okay. It's one of the issues that I've got with the progressive shifting is sometimes it's not the cleanest of shifting patterns, especially at very low speeds. But payback is when I left off, or I'm feathering it like now, it goes to some 1550 to 1100 revs. And of course, it completely nerfs my acceleration, so I'm going to get back on the power now. There we go. Got a bit of acceleration here. Oh, I would so love to just accidentally scrape this Prius, but it will damage my truck, and I don't really want to get Prius paint on it. Also, other cars I dislike are available. I have quite a dislike for Volkswagen and pickup trucks, especially white pickup trucks. That's a whole other story, and maybe one day I'll tell it and show you the dash cam footage, but not today. Colour today we've got is this wonderful baby blue. I say wonderful. I like all sorts of colours. This is a solid colour. It's nothing special really. I just like it. It's pretty. Part of me, I'll turn this off. I don't need my headlights. I kind of want to call it Danielle blue. So I used to know a girl with blue eyes called Danielle. Now I'm sure there are other girls with blue eyes and other Danielle girls that don't have blue eyes. So. Other genders and eye colours are also available. I'm going to get bored of doing that eventually. So I think one of the things with the older trucks is often you just can't maintain the pace of modern traffic, at least with a reasonable cargo, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Now, yeah, I could upgrade this engine, I could tweak it or replace it with the 360, and guess what? It's not that much faster. It's a little bit quicker, but it has a distinct lack of torque. And comparing the 3406A with something like the Mack E6 or especially the E7, the Caterpillar feels just a little bit lacking. It's not, it just develops its power generally in a different part of the rev range. And I gotta say, despite the weaknesses of the early 3406, I've been really enjoying driving around. A vintage truck, a vintage engine, with vintage performance. It's been great. Yeah, it's been thoroughly enjoyable. Ooh, way station. Let's see if we get pulled in. I'm guessing we're close to £80,000, but I'm not sure, so we might get to find out. We do. Okay. That's good. Just going to coast in here. This red is a Freightliner. I think it already pulled out when I started to use my indicator. So we pull in here, and then we're back on the highway, and then we take the next exit off. So that's not so bad, really. What have we got? Oh, okay, less than I thought. £72,500. Okay, well, I really could have taken £42,000 on this trailer then, and not had a weight issue if I'm sticking to £80,000 gross. Now, I saw Zach's heavy haul video recently in the Cummins KT, and he was saying that you know, 1650 foot-pounds of torque. I think I'm going to wait for this cow. He's waiting for me. Okay, let's go. He was explaining how, you know, back in the late 70s, 1650 foot-pounds of torque was an enormous amount. And this engine is an example why, because with 1,015 foot-pounds of torque, we're about 2/3 of the torque in front, a little bit less than that. And we're barely over half the power that the KTA-600 has.
Turn left.
So, shouldn't expect anywhere near the same performance. And we don't. And scarily, the mileage that we see from the 3406A is not that much better than the KTA. In fact, KTA might get maybe 3 to 4, and we might get 4 to 5. So it's, I mean, why would you bother with the cat? Well, there's a few reasons why you might. One of it may be that the engine's quite a bit lighter. Okay, come on, it's whipsawing again. Yeah, the engine's quite a bit lighter, and this engine is not exactly a light engine, but it's not a 19 litre. I'm going to give it 4 pound for this hill. I was going to say parts may be cheaper, but we're comparing Caterpillar parts with Cummins parts, so the reputation for Cat parts is that they are not cheap. The reputation for Cummins KT parts is that they, at least in the day, were not cheap either. The KT will need a lot of cooling. This engine will need a little bit less cooling. Maybe you need the better engine brake, and the bigger engine will have a stronger engine brake. But really, if you could, you probably would take the KT. Now I am at full power, and I'm doing 25 in 8th. I'm actually accelerating slightly. I'm going to do 26 miles an hour. So thankfully the scenery is very pretty, because we've got plenty of time to just observe this as we drive past. I don't have to keep the thing at full power, but with 30 being a bit of a struggle, we don't really want to be holding traffic up that much. Also, we need to understand why our mileage numbers aren't particularly great. Because if we're holding full power for such a long period of time, we're just burning fuel. So when you see the drive-by, imagine the soot coming out of the exhaust on the right-hand side. It's probably going to be over-fueling, producing that black soot. But then, if you want to ride the vintage trucks, you gotta accept. Sometimes you just gotta wait for it. Mustang cutting in at the last, well, not quite the last second, but not far off it. So we got up to maybe 34 up that gradient. The economy took a bit of a drop. I don't know how many miles we've covered on this tank, but it's a 300 something gallon tank, so we've burnt a lot of fuel just getting up here. Okay, now I know I've talked about this before in my videos, but if you are using cruise control, it completely disables the adaptive shift patterns. That's fast enough. Let's go ahead and turn cruise on now. Actually, I'm going to drop cruise, turn my engine brake on because we're going way too fast for this corner. Cutting into his lane and then very close to the barrier there. It's because I'm going too fast. Right, let's kill my cruise, I think, here. Okay. Well, that was the most interesting part of the trip, I think. And yeah, it's I enjoy these vintage trucks. Not so sure I like this engine brake sound. I recognise this little city.
Keep right. Then keep right.
Alright, well, we're about to join the highway, and from this point the road is a lot less interesting. Yes, we've got some gradients, but not quite the same. So, I'm going to call this video quits right now. I think quit whilst we're ahead. We haven't wrecked, we haven't crashed, we haven't run out of fuel, we haven't encountered a storm, so yeah, it's been pleasant enough. So thanks ever so much for watching. If you feel like trying the 3406 out for yourself, absolutely. I'll leave a link to the mod pack below. You can go ahead and download that. I support lots of trucks, and if there's a truck you want to use and it's not supported, drop me a message. So you can either leave a comment on a video, you can find me in Discord, but I don't think I've got a link to the server in there, but drop me a message. Whoa. Or of course, leave a comment on the Steam Workshop. But thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks ever so much. Goodbye.